There's a certain kind of strength women carry that rarely gets spoken about. Not because it's invisible, but because it's performed in the shadows, behind closed doors, far away from the noise of the world. It's the kind of strength that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand applause. It doesn't need validation. It simply exists, like a heartbeat, steady and unrecognized. These are the women who hold themselves together until everyone else has fallen asleep, who swallow their tears so the people who rely on them never see the cracks, who fight their battles in silence because they've learned that vulnerability is a luxury not everyone is allowed to afford. And when the world finally turns its back, when the room grows quiet and the lights dim, that is when their knees finally soften, when their chest releases all the breaths they've been holding, when the truth of their exhaustion finally surfaces. The psychology behind this kind of strength is layered, made from survival, upbringing, cultural expectations, and the deep-rooted belief that weakness must always be postponed. Many of these women grew up in environments where they were taught, directly or indirectly, that emotional expression was a burden. Maybe they watched their mothers carry entire families while pretending everything was fine. Maybe they learned early that speaking up would only make things worse. Maybe their own pain was dismissed so often that they stopped trying to show it. Over time, the mind adapts. It builds armor. It learns to smile at the right moments, reassure the right people, and carry responsibilities that were never meant to be carried alone. What looks like strength from the outside is often just someone who has never been given permission to do anything else. Yet these women aren't strong because they want to be. They're strong because they have to be. They've learned that if they break, everything around them might break too. So they become the reliable one, the calm one, the steady one. They're the person everyone calls when things go wrong, the one who always knows what to say, the one who will show up even when they're barely holding on themselves. And as much as they want to feel supported, as much as they crave soft places to land, they rarely ask for it. Because somewhere along the way, they concluded that needing help makes them a burden. And being a burden is the last thing they want to be. This is where the exhaustion begins, not the physical kind, but the emotional fatigue that comes from carrying yourself through storm after storm without ever allowing yourself the shelter of someone's arms. They're often labeled as strong, but inside they are tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of always being the one who understands. Tired of holding their own emotions in a tight fist while soothing everyone else's. But the world rarely notices this tiredness. Their resilience becomes their identity. Their composure becomes their reputation. Their silence becomes the reason people assume they can handle more than they should. There is also a deep psychological pattern running beneath this behavior. The fear of disappointing others. Women like this often measure their worth through what they can endure. If they remain calm, they feel useful. If they hold everything together, they feel valuable. If they don't trouble anyone, they feel safe, so they keep pushing, keep performing, keep pretending, even when their inner world is collapsing in slow motion. And all of this happens quietly, privately, in moments no one will ever see. In relationships, these women often give more love than they ever receive. They become the emotional backbone, the healer, the one who checks if you've eaten, who listens to you rant, who supports your dreams, who stands by you through every uncertainty. But when they finally feel overwhelmed, when they finally need reassurance, they hesitate. They don't want to be too much. They don't want to interrupt. They don't want to ask for what they've never been given. So they stay quiet, They say, "I'm fine," even when they're not. And the silence grows heavier. Internally, they are in constant conflict. Their hearts want softness, but their minds insist on strength. Their emotions want release, but their upbringing taught restraint. Their bodies crave rest, but their responsibilities demand resilience. So they exist in between, strong enough to survive, yet fragile enough to break if someone pressed just a little too hard. But here's the truth. Women who stay strong until no one is watching are not weak for finally falling apart. They are not dramatic for needing a moment to breathe. They are not any less capable because they cry when the lights go off. That private collapse is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of being human. It's the mind's way of saying, "You have carried enough for today." It's the heart's way of releasing emotions that have been trapped too long. It's the soul's way of staying alive. Psychology teaches us that suppressed feelings never disappear. They accumulate. And the women who carry the most tend to be the ones who suppress the most. They tell themselves to stay strong. But sometimes what they need is softness, understanding, and a place where they can finally exhale without apologizing. Strength is not the absence of vulnerability. Strength is the ability to keep going even when vulnerability threatens to spill out. These women also possess something extraordinary, a quiet resilience that doesn't demand recognition. They continue showing up for others even when they are hurting. They continue loving even when they feel unloved. They continue giving even when they are empty. And while the world might never fully comprehend this kind of strength, it doesn't make it any less powerful. But one of the biggest misunderstandings about them is this: they don't want to be strong all the time. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're not trying to win awards for emotional endurance. Deep down, they just want someone who can look into their eyes and see the weight they're carrying. Someone who notices the tremble in their voice when they say they're okay. Someone who understands that being strong has become their survival mechanism, not their preference. These women dream of a day when they won't have to be the strong one, when they can cry without feeling weak, when they can ask for help without feeling guilty, when they can finally rest. Not because they've earned it, but because they deserve it. They imagine a life where strength is a choice, not an expectation, where they can feel held, supported, understood. Until then, they will keep going the way they always have, carrying the world with steady hands during the day and letting those hands finally tremble when no one is watching. Not because they're broken, but because they're human. Not because they're weak, but because even the strongest hearts need a moment to breathe. If this message touched you in any way, if you saw even a small reflection of yourself or someone you love, then like, share, and comment below if you feel the same.